Hello everyone and welcome to Red Hot Go, the show where I give you my first impressions on a piece of media that you have recommended. This time by request of my wonderful patrons Pixcalibur and Tyler Bennett, as well as Alexis Gamer, Fisheyes, David Frog, Rymation, Grim and Alex Funniact, I will be giving Tonikawa Fly Me to the Moon a Red Hot Go. The very first scene of the show piqued my interest. It's not every day you start a show with a protagonist who is bleeding out and believes that they are going to die. The intro even ends with an admission that the woman standing above him will be his wife someday. And I thought at the time that this was going to be a story about these two building a relationship from strangers to married. And that was exciting. I was also quickly interested by said protagonist when he introduces himself. His name is Nasa, and yes, it causes him a lot of problems in his early life. And these issues eventually lead him down a path of unbearable arrogance. And by unbearable, I mean for the people around him and not for the audience, because I quite like that he starts out as an arrogant brat. It made me excited to see how he would develop from that point. It's this arrogance that causes the accident that we saw in medias res at the start of the first episode. Nasa sees a girl that is so cute that he just has to talk to her, and he winds up being hit by a truck while approaching her. With 2 broken legs and likely a severe concussion, his arrogance is what makes him chase down the cute girl who saved him from the brunt of the collision. And this is all quite entertaining in a "this dude is thirsty" kind of way. However, it is at this point that I began to sour on the show. Nasa confesses his love for this woman who he doesn't even know the name of yet, and she goes along with it. She makes him promise to marry her, and at first I wondered if this was just a ploy to get him to calm down so that he would go to the hospital. But we learn later in the episode that she took it all very seriously, and the second time they meet, they get married. I literally yelled at the screen when the wife, Tsukasa, says that she will put her faith into Nasa. You don't know him. This premise comes with all the issues you would expect. The relationship is incredibly shallow as they don't know anything about each other, and it's almost as if the show wants to have its cake and eat it too, the way that it dives straight into marriage, but also has the usual generic teen angst thing. There's a moment in episode 2 where Nasa and Tsukasa are buying a futon, and he panics when he wonders if this is a date, just like you've seen in 100 other anime, and as if they aren't already married. And they just had to make Tsukasa underage too. Despite Nasa being 18, we couldn't have a story about 2 adults getting married, no. How will people get their rocks off unless the side boob they're seeing belongs to a child? I mean, this isn't the worst perv pandering I've ever seen, but it certainly isn't necessary. Also, for the record, being married to someone does not mean you can kiss them while they sleep. There is no intimacy without consent. That's called sexual assault. So is there anything I like about the show? Sure. I quite like the thematic link between NASA's name and the feats of NASA the space program. According to the show, the meaning behind going to the moon was doing something that many thought to be impossible. It's a shame that the show used such a good analogy for what amounts to a shotgun wedding, other than something more thematically adventurous. I like the idea of the main couple getting together at the start of a story on paper. I mean, I love the relationship between Ayaka and Takaru from Suriduri Children, and they share about as much screen time before they get together. But in that relationship, it's made clear that there's already some history between these two, and their development going forward is dedicated to naturally advancing their relationship, working out boundaries, blundering here and there. The relationship between Nasa and Tsukasa had no history. He just proposed 5 minutes after seeing her for the first time, and when they next meet, they get married and move in together. Now, I do get the impression that there is still plenty of development to take place, that there may be a reason that Tsukasa was so keen to get married, and that we'll see these two naturally get to the point in their relationship where most couples would decide on marriage anyway. It is nice to see the cute domestic moments, like Nasa helping Tsukasa with her shopping, or Tsukasa showing Nasa that good cooking doesn't require rigorous science. But having their relationship thrown into the deep end before they even learn how to swim is a bit baffling. The last episode came with a few issues that don't bode well for the future of the show. It hints at a love triangle and plants the seeds for a generic misunderstanding that I'm sure will be wrung for every drop of drama that can be extracted. However, I am curious about the stinger. It's made me reconsider my original assumptions about Tsukasa and where she came from. While I'm on the topic of the last episode, I got some very kind messages on my Discord from people who thought I would object to episode 3. And I can see why people would say that. It is a bathhouse episode featuring a 16-year-old. But to be honest, I didn't see anything wrong here. At no point did I feel like the show was trying to pander to me or show off Tsukasa in a pervy way. Some also pointed out that I may object to Kaname peeping on Nasa, but honestly that didn't bother me either. Nasa's an adult and Kaname isn't, but she's the perpetrator of this incident. I mean, it's not an okay thing to do, but it doesn't get my blood boiling the way that underage perv pandering does. So while the domestic life scenes can be sweet and I'm curious to see where Nasa's arc may go, the show is held down by perv pandering, the baffling circumstances of the leading duo's relationship, and the heavy foreshadowing for generic teen drama. From ice cold to red hot, I give Tonikawa Over the Moon for You a rating of lukewarm. If it makes good on the promise of generic teen drama, I'll probably be dropping this one. And that is it for this episode of Red Hot Go. I'd like to thank my patrons, Orion Tran, Quincy Chamberlain, Jaman5, Lars Espen, Shark, Data52, Nerxu, Pixcalibur, Alberto Cruz, Tyler Bennett, and Tenka. If you would like to support this channel further, consider becoming a patron yourself. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you next time.